Hello, my beautiful woman. I'm so excited to be sharing my Lingerie and Lattes episode today. I have something really fun in store. If you don't know who I am Olivia Drumaga. I founded Vulcan Ability for women and men to both heal their relationship between each other and understand how to form solid relationships that last a really long time because they're based on self-intimacy versus a projection of traumas and misunderstandings because women and men are so different and we don't really have the tools in order to guide us on how women and men can both interact with each other. So this is where Vulcan Ability has been birthed from, and I'm very excited to share. Today is all about this idea that women are always saying, I'm not in the mood, I'm not really feeling it, and I want to explore that subject today. Before we get into that, I know I started off this series promising a bunch of card pulls, and I have not really delivered on that, literally because I frankly have just slipped past my mind. But here we are, and I have the beautiful goddess deck, and we're going to do a card pull for us all today. I want this intention to really be what is the goddess energy that we want to bring forth towards the end of this year? What is what is the message for us as women to really ground ourselves into as we come to the end of this magical 2022, which has been, for me personally, a lot of hard life lessons coming around the corner. But all of them have received a lot of guidance and it's been difficult, but it's been definitely a wonderful journey to be on. So this is wonderful. I got Mother Mary. And for those of you who are aware, it is in 2 days Christmas. So Mother Mary is pretty much on par. I'm not religious. However, I pull upon all of the spiritual esoteric knowledge that we have available. So Mother Mary, it says, expect a miracle. Have faith in your prayers that they have been heard and are being answered. I'm going to take a moment and honestly, no matter what religious beliefs or non-religious beliefs you are attuned to, the imagery on this card is significant. There's a little baby. This is the innocence that's being held up. The mother is our nurturing self. It is the part of us that we are always giving to other people and not so much to ourselves. So let me see if there's any other things that stand out in the card. And of course, it's literally the first page that I've turned to. Let's see. Without faith, the future looks very frightening. That's why it is essential for you to take whatever steps are necessary to keep your mind and your heart filled with faith. Please don't give up hope on yourself or other people. Be the light that eliminates someone else's gloomy hopelessness as well. For as you make others stronger, it strengthens not only yourself, but the entire world. I think this is wonderful when we come around to the holiday season because a lot of the times it can get very intense, I would say, especially if you're spending more time with family, or even if you're not, if you're alone during this time, it's just a lot of emotions can be brought up in this moment. So being available to someone else as a positive source is a part of this giving nature. It's a part of this mother essence that we have. And if we focus on the mother instead of a suffocating archetype, but rather this woman, this wise woman, this almost this it's in between. When we think of the phases of a woman, there's the maiden, the naive, like young nymph, then there's the mother, there's the nurturing one, and then there's the crone, which is the older, wiser one. So right now we're in the center. This is the card that's related to the middle maturity of this archetype for woman. And if we want to consider the ideas that we have of mothers, it's usually someone who comforts, somebody who nurtures us. This is kind of what I want to tie into when we think about today's topic, which is this idea that I hear from so many women, and I've honestly used this as well. I'm just not in the mood. I was recently listening to Jordan Peterson's talk about marriage, part one, and he touches on this subject. And me and one of my clients, we discussed this, I think it was last week, about exploring how can we give to ourselves? How can we turn ourselves on basically without the intention of self-pleasuring? So let's talk about that a little bit because I know that might not be something everybody is used to. When I think about the idea of doing something for myself, sometimes there's an outcome attached to it. If I'm going to give myself a massage, it's in order for me to be in a pleasurable state and then move into the next phase. But this idea of not being in the mood, a lot of that times that is an indicator that you are probably a little bit disconnected from the body. That's honestly, to me, that's a red or whatever, a green light that says, hey, look at yourself. Like, are you connected with your body? Do you feel in your body? Are you attuned with the Kundalini that's rising up within you? Because if you were, it's like this electricity that's constantly on. I love to correlate the Kundalini energy that's rising within us to electricity because it's the same thing. Even if you are not turning on the light, then electricity is still coursing through those wires. And that's why with the touch of a button, you're able to turn on the light. Kundalini is the same way. It's always running through our bodies. It's always going, from the top of the head all the way back down the spine and rising back up and so forth. So if we are feeling like we are not in the mood, that's usually us trying to retreat and wanting to not feel intimate, wanting to feel closed off from our partners. So the first thing I like to do, if especially this doesn't have to relate to someone that you're seeing, honestly, it has to start with you and your body and how you're doing, how you're receiving yourself. So with my client the other week, we talked about her focusing on something that feels really juicy, really feminine, really sensual. Again, without this idea of moving it anywhere past that. And honestly, I don't want it to go anywhere past this. I want women to start experiencing activities that are making them feel sensual with nothing beyond that. Just that sensation of feeling sensual and then walking away and feeling within the day, again, connecting to your rising Kundalini as this energy of electricity always coursing through us. And this way, when we do want to become intimate with our partners, it's not really like starting up an engine that hasn't been running for 20 years, but it's more like this light switch that I keep talking about. When we feed ourselves sensually as women, every day is the goal, but you can start with, let's say, once a month if it feels really foreign to you. You can start with once a week if you want to challenge yourself, or you could do once a day. Now, what could this look like? Because a lot of the times women are asking, how do I do this? How do I make myself feel pleasurable? One of the things that showed up is maybe making art. I think creating through senses of touch, maybe something like a paintbrush, painting, and really allowing it to be the process of creation versus the outcome. If that makes you feel very sensual and in your body, absolutely you can do that. If all it does is make you feel good, that's great, but not for this exercise. So let's say playing with Legos or like building something with Legos makes you feel really great and relaxes you and lowers the stress. That's all wonderful, but it's not going to count towards the sensuality. We really want to work this idea of Kundalini and we want to feed it, because as soon as we're able to feed the Kundalini, we are much more receptive. And that's all we have to keep coming back to. If you've watched my last week's video, it was about how do we open up into receptivity as women, because we're always projecting something, we're always giving something, we're always working in our masculine. So treating ourselves sensually could be something like taking a leisure bath, and maybe it even being in the morning and making extra time if you need to, if you have that opportunity, or you create that opportunity. Even as a mom, let's say it's Saturday or Sunday and you ask your spouse, can you give me 30 minutes? I just want to go into my bath. And, setting up that time for yourself is a way for you to connect to your body without any other intention. What this does is rewire your body for pleasure. the more we're able to drop back into a place of receptivity within the body, the more we're willing to engage in intimacy. So when we come up again to this phrase of I'm not in the mood, we have to check ourselves. What has been going on in our lives? Why am I not feeling in the mood? Why am I looking towards disconnection versus looking for ways to bridge that gap with my partner or with myself? Even if you're not in the mood to self-pleasure, maybe that's something for you to explore. What can I do to make me feel a little bit more connected to myself? I know for me, that's personally a lot of, even if I don't feel in the mood to create a whole bath, because I feel like that's too much work sometimes, because honestly, it's a little bit of work. You have to make sure the tub is clean. You want to make sure, sorry about that. You want to make sure the right candles are set up, the right scents are there. Sometimes it can get very intensive. So sometimes I just want to take a nice hot shower, but then after the shower, that sense of putting oil on my body and doing a little bit of this kind of massage on myself. And it doesn't really have to be anything too crazy. It really just has to be like little touches of pressure like that, all up on the arms. And just using that sort of a mentality all the way through your body, especially on the legs, on the quads, maybe focusing a little bit more on the calves if you stand a lot in your work, and just noticing, what is happening in my body? What is feeling tight right now? What is feeling closed off particularly? And maybe bringing in some touch and some light movement. Again, it has to be gentle. It doesn't have to be forceful. We're not working with the fiery energy today. We're focusing on how can we bring the water element? How can we bring in sensuality, fluidity, softness? So connecting with the elements of water and air and feeling lightness can all bring in a sense of in our bodies. And that's really what we're trying to achieve, because the moment we drop into that sense of calm and peace within the body, within the self, we're much more willing to play with our partners. We're much more willing to play with ourselves. We might want to even do something that is especially spicy. And we're more willing to get novel in the bedroom. That's a big piece of having a wonderful sex life with your partner. It's having novelty, something new, trying things differently. And it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with toys or physical material things you're bringing in, but it could just be a different perspective. It could be a different mood. It could be something maybe darker and more sensual from a dark feminine space and more commanding. Or it could be something more girly and sensual and feminine and light and very fairy-like. So when we play with ourselves in ways that allow us to drop back into the body by doing activities that are sensual in our nature and make us feel sensual, we kind of we work through the challenge of feeling like we're not in the mood, because all that really is kind of a cop out. I know that might sound kind of jarring to some people, and I understand, because sometimes you could say, well, it's consent, no means no, all these things. Of course, if you're, let's say you're on your period and you're feeling really fat and you're not feeling sexy at all, trust me, there are things you can do to still feel pleasurable. And you don't have to immediately jump to, oh, now I'm feeling like this sexy vixen. No, all you have to do is, I'm feeling a little bit more grounded in my body. I'm feeling a little bit more okay with how I am right now. Even if I am bloated, it doesn't bother me as much. It's things like that. So a tidbit from me personally, again, on my moon cycle, what I love to do is have a heating pad over my stomach. And it doesn't make me feel like I'm a goddess of any sorts, but at the same time, it just makes me relaxed, and it brings me back into my body. And then I'm feeling, oh my goodness, I'm feeling so good in my body. And just from that place, if you have a wonderful partner, they can work with you there, because then again, you have to be first connected within yourself, within your body, for your partner to even access you, to even give you any sort of pleasure. And the more we do activities that are bringing us back to ourselves in a way that feels sexy, without any sort of additional outcome or any sort of like thing that you want to do that's very particular and spicy and whatever, it can automatically bring in a sense of, yeah, I could be into that, or sure, we can play around a little bit. I might be open to that idea. And again, all you have to do is be in that place of openness and receptivity in order for pleasure to really start running through your body. Because this electrical current that I started talking about in the beginning of the video, the Kundalini, it's really a matter of nourishing yourself before we move into the state of the partner, and the play that can happen in the bedroom with him. So that is would be the whole segment for today. I hope this has been educational as always. If you feel called to, I am going to be very soon opening up my waitlist again for Vulcan Ability Academy, which is setting up the foundation for a lifetime love with your man. This has been extremely powerful for my previous clients. I know that they have had some earth-shattering moments because a lot of the things that we know about sex are false, and a lot of the things are driving away women from men. However, Vulcan Ability Academy is based on facts, on data, on an exploration of the self, of the body, and of connecting the heart and mind in order for the yoni to open up. So please be on the lookout for the waitlist to open up. And I'm so excited to continue sharing my knowledge with you all. Have a beautiful, blessed rest of your Friday.